A horrifying intimate relationship. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Psalm 121:7. She was thin and pale. Her face revealed her agony. Her eyes carried anger. She vented and revealed all that had been troubling her. It turned out that her husband was a sex addict on top of being an alcoholic. He requested her to have sex with him night and day. He justified his request by saying that a wife has a duty and responsibility to accede to the husband's demand. If she refused, she might become the object of his violence. In order to avoid his violence, she had to bear horrendous experiences. She always wondered if it was really her responsibility to have to bear such misery. He even had the symptom of delusional jealousy and restrained her from going out. Had it not been for their children, she would have divorced him long ago. She could stand all the misery because she had made up her mind to maintain her marriage until all her children grew up and were married. However, the children were still young and she was being worn out physically and mentally. That's when the urge to give up on life began to tempt her. I told her that unconditional submission of her body and mind to the unreasonable demands of her husband was wrong. Allowing the despicable lust of your husband is actually destroying your own soul as well. Forcing the wife to sacrifice her health and life to simply fulfill his animal instincts cannot be pure and holy love. How can such selfish behavior of indulging in one's mere physical desire be called love? A wife does not have the duty to accede blindly to the husband's demand when she knows that he is dominated by sinful lust. Finally, she realized that the ceaseless thought in her mind that she should not give in to the husband's unjust request was actually the voice of God. She firmly decided. She wanted to rediscover herself. She knew it would take a serious battle, but she also knew that this battle was inevitable in order to save herself and also her husband. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to express her decision to him without fear. However, she made up her mind and said, "If I must die, I will die." Near sunset, she began to tremble. Her heart pounded. She couldn't eat anything. She called upon God over and over again and cried out for his help to be brave and strong. He smelled alcohol as he walked into the house. As usual, he demanded to have sex. Praying honestly in her mind, she shook her head. He raised his eyes as his demand was denied. She could see that he had already lost his reason. Feeling afraid, she quickly ran out to the living room. In his hand, as he followed her right away, there was a dumbbell. With a rather subdued voice, he asked, "What are you going to do now?" She knew she could die right then and there. She had to choose either to survive or to die. Within a very brief moment, she chose death. Surprisingly, her fear began to subside. She calmly told him that she did not want it. As soon as she finished talking, he raised his hand up into the air. She closed her eyes. She knew there was nothing more she could do. She cried out with all her might and soul, "Oh God!" 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Soon massive pain would strike her head. Strangely, though, nothing happened. Wondering what was going on, she opened her eyes to see the dumbbell fell onto the floor. Then he kicked the door open and stormed out. This never had happened before. As she was sitting there blankly, she could feel the protection of God was embracing her. When you decide to wholly depend on God and choose Him, He delivers you from any and all situations and circumstances. She recalled the story of Daniel, who was saved from the lion's den, and his three friends who encountered Jesus in the fiery furnace. When he came back 2 days later, he looked haggard. He was sober. He was thinking intently. That night, for the first time in a long time, she had an in-depth conversation with him. He struggled, but eventually confessed that he was addicted to sex and alcohol. And he genuinely apologized to her, asking her to pray for him. Since then, her family has found a renewed peace. What a powerful experience! The faith of one person has such a huge influence on others. The word, believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved, you and your household. Acts 16:31 was realized in her family.